everyone, happy Sunday. I hope you've been having a wonderful week. It feels like ages since I did a proper book haul with you, so I thought I'd share today some of the books that I've been getting lately. I've got a few secondhand and from charity shops, as well as new books that have been coming out and that I've been really excited about. So let's dive in. I follow a really lovely artist on Instagram and her name is Jane Carkill, and I realised that she'd illustrated this book. I think it actually came out in the autumn, but I hadn't heard of it before, and it's called Windfall, and it's a selection of Irish nature poems to inspire and connect. And I just got this in the post the other day, and I was so thrilled that I'd ordered it. For one thing, you know how much I love poetry, nature poetry in particular, and it's lovely that this book really celebrates Irish poets, and it's just so beautifully illustrated as well. Absolutely gorgeous. I'll find some for you. You can see these little illustrated pages, and I love this type of poetry anthology that is beautiful to look at, as well as having lovely poems in it, of course, as well. So yes, this was a real delight. It's edited by Jane Clark, so I've been enjoying dipping into this already. A lot of the poets I don't know, so I'm looking forward to reading more and exploring more as well. So I was delighted with this. And then I've been getting a few of Eva Rice's books, Beyond the Lost Art of Keeping Secrets, and this is her most recent book that came out in paperback just a few months ago, and that's This Could Be Everything. So I'm looking forward to diving into this book. It sounds like it'll be an interesting read, and I'm looking forward to reading a few more books by Eva Rice as well and reporting back on them. Then, as you know, if you watched last week's video, I had my pre-order of the Puffin in Bloom Jane Austen books arrive, and I was so delighted to get them. In this series there's Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice, and Emma, and they're just so beautiful. The covers are done by Anna Bond of Rifle Paper Company, and I love their stuff. I love the other books that they've done with Puffin in the past, like Little Women and Anne of Green Gables, and it was just so exciting to get some beautiful Jane Austen editions in this series too. So I was really thrilled when they arrived. Then, as you know, we're doing The Secret Garden for my YouTube book club, the Comfort Book Club, this month for March. And I ordered a biography of Frances Hodgson Burnett, who is, of course, the author of The Secret Garden. And I realised I don't know much about her life, so I'm hoping to try to read this before we discuss the book at the end of the month, so I can provide a little background for the discussion, and also just for myself. I'm keen to know more, so I was pleased to get this. And then I was very kindly sent one of the new British Library crime classics. This is Impact of Evidence, a Welsh Borders mystery by Carol Carnac, who is also known by the pen name E.C.R. Lorac, and I like a lot of the books that they've put out by E.C.R. Lorac in the past, so I was excited to get this one. I love that it's got a Welsh setting because March celebrates St. David's Day at the very beginning of the month, so it's nice to read a Welsh book sometime this month, and this one sounds good. It's about a man who is killed in a motor accident, but the police are puzzled when they find that there's a second body in the car that can't really be explained. So I'm hoping to get to this book this month as well. I always enjoy a golden age mystery, so I'm keen to try this one. And then Slightly Fox very kindly sent me their latest publication, which is My Salinger Year by Joanna Rakoff. There was a film made of this, I think in 2020. I think it was quite recent, but I haven't seen it, and I'd really like to, but obviously I want to read the book first. This is a memoir, and it's about Joanna Rakoff's experiences when, as just a young woman, she worked for the literary agency of J.D. Salinger, and her experiences answering his fan mail. But apparently it's very much a book about a love of books and how important literature is. So I can't really believe I haven't read this yet, because I think it's a real sort of classic in this genre that I love so much. So I'm really excited to read this memoir, and I want to see the film too. Let me know if you've read this or seen the film. I'd really like to know what you think of it, but I'm really excited by this one. So I'll definitely be reading this very, very soon. And then this was a book I had on pre-order. It's Time and Tide, The Long, Long Life of Landscape by Fiona Stafford. Fiona Stafford has written a couple of other books that were really good. She wrote, it's either called The Long, Long Life of Trees or The Very Long Life of Trees, but I think it's The Long, Long Life of Trees. And then she also wrote The Short Life of Flowers. And I love books about landscape, the British landscape, and this sounds so interesting. It says, swooping along coastlines through forests and across fens, following in the footsteps of Burns and Keats, Dickens, William and Dorothy Wordsworth, Noel Coward and Compton Mackenzie, join Fiona Stafford time traveling deep into the stories of our isles. So it just sounds like the kind of book that I would really enjoy. A bit about landscape, a bit about literature, and how the two connect. So I'm looking forward to this. And then this is one that Mum and I picked up that sounds like a lot of fun. It's Hens Dancing by Rafaela Barker, and it's about a woman who, after a failed marriage, moves to a sort of tumble-down cottage in Norfolk, and it's told in diary form, and it's about the sort of mishaps of her life. It's meant to be quite funny. It's about her children and keeping lots of animals, including chickens, and we thought this sounded like quite a fun read, maybe for the month in which Easter occurs especially. So I'm looking forward to hopefully getting to this very soon as well. And then you know how I'm a big fan of Grey Ladies publishers. They're a great independent publishing company. They republish a lot of children's books, but also some adult books by well-known children's book authors who are especially popular in the first half of the 20th century. So this is their latest book. It's just been republished, and it's Mystery at the Villa Bianca by Priscilla Hagon. That was a pen name for Mabel Esther Allen. And I love Mabel Esther Allen's children's books, but she also wrote quite a lot of YA books. And this is classed as one of her YA books. And it's about a young woman who goes to the Italian area of Switzerland and has adventures, essentially. It just sounds like it could be a lot of fun. There's a bit of mystery and suspense, maybe a bit of romance as well. I'm looking forward to this. I don't think the title sounds really familiar to me, so I might have read it in the past, but I can't remember it, and I don't have it anymore, so I was really glad that it's been republished, so can't wait to get to that one. And then Batsford Publishers very kindly sent me this book, which is really amazing, Secret Voices, A Year of Women's Diaries, edited by Sarah Gristwood. And this has just been so fascinating to dip into already. There's so many diary entries for each day, and what I really love about this anthology is that it celebrates well-known female writers, but also very obscure female diarists as well. So a lot of women writers that I just had never heard of before. There's a real range of dates of entries, and it's just so interesting. I've been dipping into this. I really want to take some time to look at it more in depth soon, but I have been dipping into it already, and I've just been so impressed already. Obviously it goes month by month, day by day through the year, which is just the kind of book I really enjoy, and I just love the way that it celebrates such a wide range of female diarists in this way. So yeah, I think this is such an amazing publication. And then the British Library also sent me a proof copy of their upcoming title in their Women Writers series. And this is Forest Silver by E.M. Ward. If you listened to my interview that went up just before Christmas with Simon Thomas, who helps to choose many of the titles that are published by the British Library Women Writers series, then you'll have heard him telling me about this book, and it sounds so interesting. I was really excited to get a proof copy. It's set in the Lake District during the Second World War, and I think is very much about evacuees sent to that area during the war. So definitely the type of book that I find so interesting. I'm looking forward to getting to this. I picked up a Georgette hare with the type of cover I especially love in a charity shop, or I should say my mum did actually, because she's so great in the charity shops. When I was getting my hair done, she went all around the charity shops in Boroughbridge and found a few for me, so that was great. And she swooped in on this lovely Georgette hare, an infamous army, and I'm always looking out for the ones with these covers because I really like the artwork. And then this was a book I got secondhand, Happy Half Hours, Selected Writings of A.A. Milne. And this is just such a sweet little collection of essays. I've been really enjoying reading quite a few of them already. Obviously A.A. Milne is famous for Winnie the Pooh, but he was a well-known writer before ever publishing those children's books, and he's a brilliant essayist. And there are some really good ones in this. I read his one on children's books and sort of how to write children's books. It's so funny, it's so well done. There's a great essay, My Library. You know, there are quite a few about books and loving books, which I love. And there's things on the mathematical mind, or an essay on Midsummer Day, The Younger Son, the Painter in London, The Stream. I mean, very sort of miscellaneous collection of ideas and topics, but I love his writing, and they're just quite short little essays that you can read while you have a cup of tea or something like that and just enjoy dipping into. So I was really happy to get this secondhand. And then in the same kind of series, I got one not secondhand, but from our local bookshop, which is a selection of essays by J.B. Priestley, and I think he's such a fabulous essayist. I've read a lot of other Priestley essays and I always so enjoy them. So I was really happy to get this collection, Grumbling at Large, which I thought was a funny title. So I was really thrilled to get that. And then also from my local bookshop, I picked up a signed copy of Went to London, Took the Dog, a diary by Nina Stibb. I love her book, Love Nina, which if you like books that are filled with letters, then you absolutely should read Love Nina. It's so funny. She's such a great writer. And this is her diary of moving to London again. And yes, I really can't wait to read this. I think it'll be lots of fun. So I was thrilled to get that. And then I was completely influenced by the Seasons of Story members in the chat, and what's so fun about being in the chat is that members often share the books they've received in the post, and someone had got this book, I think a couple of people had actually, called Drawn to the Garden by Caroline Quenton, and it just sounds so good, and I ordered it myself, and I love the illustrations that are part of the book. I think they're just so well done. So I haven't had time to look through this in great detail yet, but I've just dipped into it a little bit and it just looks amazing. So that was a great discovery, and there's some really nice little essays as well as gardening tips, of course, in this, and I just love the illustrations as well. And then someone else in the group talked about Home, a Celebration. So I ordered this one because you know how much I love home and books about houses and homes. It says notable voices reflect on the meaning of home. So there are a lot of artists and designers and so on that talk about their home, and this book is full of beautiful photographs. And I thought the inspiration behind the book was really interesting. It says, Charlotte Moss's inspiration for this project is Edith Wharton's The Book of the Homeless, which was published in 1916, and it was a fundraising effort that aided refugees and children during the First World War. For this book, a portion of the profits are benefiting No Kid Hungry, a national campaign of the organisation Share Our Strength, which works to connect the 13 million children in the United States who live with hunger to the food they need. So I really loved the inspiration behind this as well, and it's a really beautiful book. So I was delighted by this recommendation. And then another secondhand book that I got, I wanted to read this more in February, but I ran out of time. But it's Love Stories, and it's introduced by Rosamunde Pilcher. And there's just an interesting selection of writers that she's brought together in this anthology. Well, it's actually compiled by Lynn Curtis, but it's introduced by Rosamunde Pilcher. There's Julie Cooper, Colette, Daphne du Maurier, just a lot of interesting writers, and I thought it looked like a good collection of short stories celebrating love. So I got that secondhand. And then this was a book that I picked up because I'm trying to sort of boost my Ella Montgomery collection at the moment, and I had this when I was young, but it got left behind in New York, and it's The Road to Yesterday by Ella Montgomery, collection of short stories. So I'm really glad to have this on my shelves again. And then a really special book that was a sort of early Easter present to myself. I used to have this edition when I was little. It's an early American edition of Ballet Shoes by Noel Streatfeild. And again, it's just a book that's got lost over time, and I'm so thrilled to get it again. I actually really like the American editions of a lot of the Noel Streatfeild stories. Ballet Shoes is my all-time favourite story by her. It had a huge impact on my life. It's one of my very favourite books. I read it when I was little. It's one of the big reasons I did ballet when I was young. I took it very seriously, and it's remained an important part of my life, my love for ballet. And this book, it's just very special to me to have. So to have this lovely edition back on my shelves, I'm just really excited about that. So that was wonderful. And then the bookseller and writer David Schutte sent me 2 of his books, Danger, Keep Out, and Wake Up, It's Midnight, which was very kind of him to send me. David sells a lot of the sort of vintage children's books of the type that I particularly collect. So he's someone that my mum and I have bought from for many years. And I hadn't actually realised he was an author though until he told me quite recently. And then he was kind enough to send me a couple of his books. So I'm really looking forward to reading these. And then I picked up secondhand this children's book by Noel Streatfeild, The Children of Primrose Lane. I used to have this edition when I was little, so again, it's just one that I'm re-adding to my shelves, and I'm happy to have it again. Handheld Press sent me one of their latest releases, Rosemary Sutcliffe's memoir, The Blue Remembered Hills, which I've read before and absolutely loved. Rosemary Sutcliffe was an incredible writer for children. She wrote historical children's books in particular, and just they're mind-blowingly good, and this is such a great memoir, very inspiring. So I was thrilled to get this from Handheld Press. And then another book that I picked up secondhand, so it's a bit battered, but it doesn't matter, is Sand in My Shoes by Joan Rice, who is Eva Rice's grandmother. And I was really interested after reading The Last Art of Keeping Secrets again to pick this one up because it's wartime diaries of her grandmother, and I just thought it'd make a really interesting read. So I got that. And then again, this came through a recommendation from Jane, the lovely Jane McMullen Hunter, who writes for Seasons of Story. She shares some amazing recipes. And I'd recently talked about a different book by Leon Garfield in the community. And Jane then recommended this one to me. And I got it, The Pleasure Garden by Leon Garfield. He also is an amazing writer for children, especially of historical fiction. And this is one I haven't read yet, so I'm excited about it. It sounds very good, so thank you, Jane, for that recommendation. And then I feel very nostalgic actually going through these books, because this is another book that I used to have and I pored and pored over it as a child. It's Noel Streatfeild's Ballet Annual. I can't tell you how many times I read this book and looked at the pictures and just going through them again. This brought back so many memories. This is Moira Shearer. And I remember how much I loved looking at the pictures of her as a ballet dancer, her in the red shoes as well. And I just was so inspired by this. And then also Beryl Gray. I just absolutely loved looking at these pictures of dancers when I was little. This is another book that sort of got lost, so I'm so happy to have it again. And then in the charity shop, my mum also found Little Grey Rabbit's Storybook by Alison Utley for me. You know how much I love Alison Utley. I love her essays for adults, but her Little Grey Rabbit books are so sweet too. So I was happy to have this storybook, which is a, bigger version of the stories, which is quite nice when you want to see the pictures a bit bigger. So I was thrilled with that. And then finally also another secondhand find was Spring Songs with Music from Flower Fairies of the Spring by Cecily Mary Barker. I love her Flower Fairies books. I have the summer one that I bought in a secondhand bookshop in Cornwall actually, and it was so nice to get the spring one, which, I mean, sadly I can't read music and I can't play, but I just love the plates with her illustrations in the book. And I really wish I could read music, but there we are. Still, I was thrilled to get this secondhand. So yes, that's my book haul for you. Do let me know if any of these books take your eye or what you've been reading, what books have been added to your shelves lately, whether thrifted or new. I'd love to hear about them. Thank you so much as always for watching. An extra big thanks to those of you who pressed the super thanks button on my last video from last Sunday. You're always so appreciated. Also, huge thanks to those of you who came on the very first Seasons of Story Zoom just yesterday. It was amazing to chat to so many of you, and yeah, it was just such a fun experience for Mum and for me, and yes, we're still thinking about it, talking about it, so that was amazing. So thank you as well to all of you who support my work through being a member of one of my communities like Seasons of Story or the Bookish Almanac, but also thank you to everyone who supports my work from watching my videos and making a comment or liking the video. You're all so appreciated by me. So I hope you've had a lovely weekend. I hope you have a great week coming up, and I'll see you next week. Goodbye.